Ugh, ads are such poop. Subscribe to Acast Plus now to skip ads and more for just $1 a month. Click the link in our show notes to learn how. And hey, we're on Patreon too. Your support helps cover the cost of running a podcast. For $2 a month, you can get early access to all our episodes ad-free, plus bonus episodes exclusive to Patreon subscribers only. Visit patreon.com/sacrilegious discourse to sign up now. Welcome to Sacrilegious Discourse.
I'm husband.
And I'm wife.
Together, we're reading the Bible for the very first time.
We grew up without religion and wanted to know what all the fuss was about.
Well, what have we learned so far?
That God is a dick, and apparently some people believe in talking donkeys.
We're not trying to pass ourselves off as experts.
Nope, we're just reading the Bible for the first time and giving our first take reaction.
If you'd like to join us in this venture, you might consider starting at episode 1.
Otherwise, jump in wherever you like.
All right, let's go read the Bible.
Yeah, let's get to it. Husband.
Wife.
Do you remember what happened on Friday?
There was a big old bash for Passover, and they had a 2-week-long Passover party.
They did.
Yeah.
It was not as cool as a barley party, but it was...
obviously, because the runners were out there running, and people were making fun of them. They were like, you fucking Passover party...
poopers.
Whatever. Things. Peak guys. Runners.
Yeah, well, they were party poopers, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So... that's what happened.
Okay, so that was 2 Chronicles chapter 30.
Sure as fuck was.
And today... oh, Happy New Year's, everybody. New Year. New Year?
It's New Year's
only 1 year.
Eve, because it's the eve of
it's the new year. Yeah, right. But
and
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Or you could say Happy New Year's Day.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, it's the second by the time we're getting to this episode.
Yeah, so Happy New 2023.
Yeah. There you go.
Yes.
Anyway, that was 2 Chronicles chapter 30, and today we're going to be reading
2 Chronicles chapter 31.
Let's go do this.
Okie dokie. Okay, 2 Chronicles chapter 31.
Okay.
It's a continuation of the celebration of the Passover.
Man, that's one long fucking, party.
That is a party to end all parties.
They're continuing it into another chapter.
Right?
Damn.
When all this had ended, all this.
Yeah, the party.
This over here. It's kind of like how we were watching the New Year's Eve ball drop, and all of that confetti was coming down, and we were like, oh, I hate to be the cleaner the next day. So they're like saying, when all that confetti had fallen and ended. Yeah,
well, at least the people that are cleaning up the confetti in Times Square get paid for it.
True.
Whereas they'll probably send the slaves out to clean up this confetti.
True. So when all the confetti was landed, the Israelites who were there went out to the towns of Judah, smashed the sacred stones, and cut down the Asherah poles.
Oh,
they were heated up. They
wasn't just
in
the
king.
Spirit. It wasn't just king,
right?
The guys are going out and do it themselves.
Yeah,
they're like all the people are like, we're excited about Yahweh, so let's go smash some shit.
Yeah, God. Woo! They destroyed the high places and the altars throughout Judah and Benjamin and in Ephraim and Manasseh.
Gotta get them high places.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
After they had destroyed all of them, the Israelites returned to their hometowns and to their own property.
Well, that's great.
Cute.
And this is wonderful. Yeah.
That's so cute.
They destroyed all of the things.
And then they were like, okay, let's go home now.
Right. Yeah.
Anyways, I'm going to go rake some leaves.
Right.
All right. So that's the end of that little section. Now we're starting a new little section.
Okay.
So, they partied, they kicked the statues over, and now they're going home and boring.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Hezekiah assigned the priests and Levites 2 divisions, each of them according to their duties as priests or Levites, to offer burnt offerings and fellowship offerings, to minister, to give thanks, and to sing praises at the gates of the Lord's dwelling.
Okay.
Because they're going to sing, like I said before, I got to praise you like I should. Right?
Right.
Okay. The king contributed from his own possessions for the mourning and evening burnt offerings, and for the burnt offerings on the Sabbaths, at the new moons, and at the appointed festivals.
Wait.
What?
We're celebrating new moons?
Yeah.
Sounds really fucking pagan to me.
Sure as fuck does. It's almost like they knocked down the Asherah poles and couldn't reach the moon. And at the appointed festivals, as written in the law of the Lord.
Okay.
He ordered the people living in Jerusalem to give the portion due the priests and Levites so they could devote themselves to the law of the Lord.
Wait, they didn't give up this shit willingly. They were ordered to do it.
Yeah.
So that doesn't strike me as very godly and like, you know, in love with God shit.
So the people were not quite as enthusiastic as they're being made out to seem.
No, they're being ordered to do it. I mean, if you have to be ordered
love God, God damn it.
No, if you have to be ordered to do something, then it's not as powerful as if you just do it. So
don't you always get bossed around and told to love things?
I mean, yes, I guess, sort of, but
when?
I mean, at work, you're told to, you know, you gotta do this certain things, and you gotta participate in this and love to do that and whatever, right?
Oh, like team spirit and shit like that?
Right.
Okay. As soon as the order went out, the Israelites generously gave the first fruits of their grain, new wine, olive oil, and honey, and all that the fields produced. That's going back a ways.
Yeah.
They brought a great amount, a tithe of everything.
Oh, yeah.
That's going a ways back.
They're tithing.
They're back to Leviticus here. It's
yeah,
almost
some
like
of
they
it.
read some of those words, huh?
I mean, maybe.
The people of Israel and Judah who lived in the towns of Judah also brought a tithe of their herds and flocks and a tithe of the holy things dedicated to the Lord their God.
Maybe they're trying to tithe it all together.
And they piled them in heaps. Like
Gotcha.
presents.
Yeah.
Like Christmas presents under a Christmas tree.
Right.
Heaps.
Yeah.
They began doing this in the 3rd month and finished in the 7th month. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So they started in like June, call it.
Yeah.
And then they finished in like, let's see, that would be 4 months later. July, August, September, like October time frame.
Sure.
Okay. So it's fall.
Yeah.
So it's about to get shitty weather.
Okay.
When Hezekiah and his officials came and saw the heaps, they praised the Lord and blessed his people Israel. Hezekiah asked the priests and Levites about the heaps.
Yeah, those heaps.
What about them heaps?
You gotta get those heaps under control, man.
You're giving me the heepy-jeepies. And Azariah, the chief priest from the family of Zadok, answered, well, because he's a priesty guy.
Yeah,
okay?
Chief priesty guy.
Yeah. Since the people began to bring their contributions to the temple of the Lord.
Because they were ordered.
We have had enough to eat and plenty to spare because the Lord has blessed his people, and this great amount is left over.
That's
backwards.
No wonder they had to be ordered. They're giving shit up to the priest people.
Yeah.
And they have leftovers?
No, they're saying that the shit that they left is the leftovers. And it's like, no. Leftovers is after you pay your bills, then what's left is the leftovers. What they're doing is they're taking it off the top and then telling them make do with what you have left. So they've created it as a bill. You know what I mean? They added it to their bills pile.
Got it.
Like you were paying electricity and water and buying groceries, right? And paying your bills, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you pay your bills and then what you have left, that's your leftovers.
Got it.
Okay. And they're saying that, yeah, after they paid their bills, they gave us their leftovers.
Okay.
No. That's not what happened, though. What happened was they created a new bill called Give Us All Your Shit, tithe, right? So they've got tithe, pay my bills, and then they have nothing left over now because they already gave you the leftovers.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
No, I thought they were giving the leftovers to the king because they had leftovers.
No, they're the leftover. Okay, they had to tithe, and they're calling that a leftover. But if it's a bill, it's not a leftover. It's a bill.
Right. No, it's a bill for the people giving it, but the priests are the one taking it, and then they're taking it and they have leftovers that they're giving to the king.
Got it. Okay, so me and you were talking at odds because I was talking about the people and you were talking about the priests. I apologize.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying, like, that's kind of shitty. Like, these people are ordered to give this shit up.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, we have leftovers.
The priests are like, oh, we have leftovers.
And then, like, the people are, if I was the people, I'd be like, fuck you, that's my shit. What are you doing? That's my leftovers. Yeah, what are you doing?
Give us the leftovers, not
right?
the king.
You ordered me to give this shit to you, so.
Yeah, this is bullshit. Hezekiah gave orders to prepare storerooms in the temple of the Lord, and this was done.
See, they had so many fucking leftovers, they had to have create storerooms.
Right.
It's bullshit.
Now, if this is going to the poor, I don't have a problem with that because...
But it's not.
Right. It's not. But that would be cool because that would be like a tax to help the downtrodden.
Sure. Yeah, but it's not.
Right. No, I totally agree with you. Then they faithfully brought in the contributions, tithes, and dedicated gifts.
I don't know.
That's like saying I voluntarily didn't volunteer for this job. Right? Like, if somebody made me do it, it's not a volunteer.
Well, but a dedicated gift sounds more like that might actually be somebody bringing something specifically for some reason that they want to dedicate it for a certain cause or reason.
Okay, but I question the phrasing.
No, yeah.
Nonetheless.
Right.
Conaniah, a Levite, was the overseer in charge of these things.
Yeah.
And his brother Shimei was next in rank. Jehiel, Azaziah, Nahath, Asahel, Jeremoth, Jozabad, Eliel, Ismachiah, Mahath, and Benaiah were assistants of Conaniah and Shimei and his brother.
Okay.
Got it?
Sure. In no way whatsoever.
Right. All these served by appointment of King Hezekiah and Azariah, the official in charge of the temple of God.
Okay.
Kor, son of Imnah, the Levite, keeper of the east gate, was in charge of the free will offerings given to God.
Free will offerings?
Mm-hmm.
What, do you have to, like, sacrifice shit to God so that you're allowed to have free will? What are free will offerings?
Well, free will is volunteer. That's what it means.
Oh, okay.
Those are the voluntary offerings.
These are okay.
So we're going to make you donate to the kingdom.
I bet most of those came from rich people.
Yeah.
Because they're like, whatever, we're going to give it a little bit extra so that we can gain favor or something. Right.
It's like when you donate, but it's a tax write-off.
Right. Yeah.
Was it really a donation? Yeah. Okay. Distributing the contributions made to the Lord and also the consecrated gifts. Jiminy Christmas. They have so many different names.
Yeah.
Well, there's too many different names for types of gifts.
Yeah.
That weren't really gifts.
If you have a problem with the amount of names that you have for your gifts, then you have way too many gifts.
I agree.
Yeah.
I am 100% in agreement with you. Eden, Minayamin, Jeshua. Shut up. I see your
chanting?
Face. No, I'm naming off people.
Yeah, I know.
Jeshua, Shemaiah, Amariah, and Shechaniah assisted him faithfully in the towns of the priests, distributing to their fellow priests according to their divisions, old and young alike. In addition, they distributed to the males 3 years old or more, whose names were in the genealogical records, all who would enter the temple of the Lord to perform the daily duties of their various tasks according to their responsibilities and their divisions.
Okay.
And they distributed to the priests enrolled by their families in the genealogical records. Genealogical records. This is not phrased easy, and so I'm kind of like, where's the pauses and the so some of the words are coming out wrong.
Sure.
And likewise to the Levites, 20 years old or more, according to their responsibilities and their divisions. They included all the little ones, the wives, and the sons and daughters of the whole community listed in these genealogical records, for they were faithful in consecrating themselves.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
They did things and then they did them. The end of what I'm trying to say. As for the priests, the descendants of Aaron, who lived on the farmlands around their towns or in any other towns, men were designated by name to distribute portions to every male among them and to all who were recorded in the genealogies of the Levites.
Jesus. That's way too many times. They've said genealogy and genealogical way too many times.
I agree. I'm the one tripping over it, and that's why I keep saying it wrong.
Yeah.
This is what Hezekiah did throughout Judah, doing what was good and right and faithful before the Lord his God.
That's so great.
He's awesome.
Yeah,
Whatever.
right?
In everything that he undertook in the service of God's temple and in obedience to the law and the commands, he sought his God and worked wholeheartedly, and so he prospered. The end.
Yeah.
He did
good. He
so
prospered
he
because he ordered people to give him shit, and then they gave him shit, and then he prospered, and God said, "Yeah, I don't give a fuck if you're poor. Give me shit." And so then they gave him shit, and they prospered.
Yeah.
Well, he prospered.
He gooded.
I mean, somebody prospered.
Hezekiah did good, and so he gooded.
Yeah. Right.
And him good.
Okay. Well, that was 2 Chronicles chapter 31.
Sure as good was.
And tomorrow we will be back with
2 Chronicles chapter 32.
All right, we'll see you guys then.
Bye. Husband.
Wife.
Do you remember what happened yesterday?
Let's see. People were giving gifts voluntarily but involuntarily because Hezekiah was making them do it.
Yeah.
And then they smashed some shit.
Oh, they smashed so much shit.
Yeah. Yeah. And,
it was a good day that day because there was so much smashing happening.
Right.
But in a good way.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's all I really remember.
Hezekiah prospered.
That's right. He prospered because of all the voluntary and involuntary gifts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they had heaps of them.
They had heaps.
Yeah.
And they had to build warehouses for all of those leftovers.
Yeah, I wish I had the problem of we had too many voluntary gifts where we had heaps of them.
Let me just say, today we did have that problem because we use Instacart to order groceries.
That's true.
And our Instacart delivery person accidentally dropped off somebody else's order in addition to ours. So we had like heaps. It was an 18 thing container of eggs, like too many eggs because I had just had eggs delivered the day before.
Heaps of them.
Heaps. So many eggs. A giant thing of what's that leafy stuff shit called? Spinach.
Heaps of it.
Heaps of spinach. And I mean, I can do stuff with a little bit of spinach, but not heaps of spinach.
Right, and crumbled beef.
3 giant containers.
Motherfucking heaps of it.
Heaps of beef. Heaps.
Yeah.
And we could not I had to literally clean out the fridge and freezer to fit all this shit in that we got.
Right.
They gave us 2 loaves of bread.
Heaps.
And I had already had bread delivered.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying,
we got some extra.
We understand what it's like for somebody to involuntarily give us so much.
To be fair, it was a big business that involuntarily gave it to us.
Yeah.
Or the
delivery
Instacart driver. Yeah.
I've heard people complain about not getting their stuff.
Yeah, that's why, because we got it.
It always comes to me. I've never had something missing. I've only ever had an extra.
Yeah, we're the ones
surprise.
that get the extra shit. I don't know why.
I mean, I'm not complaining.
No, it's great.
Thank you, sorry, thank you.
Right.
Anyway, heaps, storehouses, leftovers.
So anyway,
prospering.
That was for 2 Chronicles, chapter 31.
Correct.
And today we're going to be reading
2 Chronicles, chapter 32.
Let's go read this.
Okie dokie. Okay, 2 Chronicles chapter 32.
Okay.
Ready?
I'm ready.
After all that Hezekiah had so faithfully done, Sennacherib, king of Assyria, came and invaded Judah. But Hezekiah's been good, so
Hezekiah should win, right?
Hezekiah should win. Okay, that's my bet on this.
I mean, that's the way it's supposed to go.
Right? He's doing good, and he's getting rid of all the high places.
Sure. Yeah, this is a bad move by this other guy.
Yeah, he picked the wrong day.
Right?
He laid siege to the fortified cities, thinking to conquer them for himself.
Mm-hmm.
Feel sorry for the people, though, because
they're
getting sieged.
I mean, they're getting, yeah. The still bad things are happening.
The king will be okay.
Well, that's all that really matters, right?
The city will survive. What's a few 100 or 1,000 deaths?
Right.
Whatevs.
Yeah.
When Hezekiah saw that Sennacherib had come and that he intended to wage war against Jerusalem, he consulted with his officials and military staff about blocking off the water from the springs outside the city, and they helped him. But what I want to know is, did he talk to God?
Right, because that's the.
This is a big deal.
If you don't talk to God, you might not get his help.
You might get grounded.
Right.
They gathered a large group of people who blocked all the springs and the stream that flowed throughout the land. Why should the kings of Assyria come and find plenty of water? They said.
Yeah.
Then he worked hard repairing all the broken sections of the wall and building towers on it. He built another wall outside that one and reinforced the terraces of the city of David. Oh, he's
that water's got to go
preparing.
somewhere. If you blocked off the springs and the little rivers and
Mm-hmm.
stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's got to back up somewhere.
Yeah.
Where was it backing up at?
That's the pond I'm going to.
I mean, I'm just
Right?
curious. Like, was he flooding out his own city in order so that people wouldn't get enough water down there?
I guess. He's like, come inside the walls, otherwise you're fucked.
I'd be pissed if I was like one of the farmers right next to that. I'd be like, God damn it.
Are you kidding me right now?
Right?
He also made large numbers of weapons and shields. I think that if you praise God, you shouldn't have to make weapons.
You don't need to do that.
Or fortify
God will
your
take care of
walls.
you.
Yeah.
Right.
He appointed military officers over the people and assembled them before him in the square at the city gate and encouraged them with these words.
This is the riding back and forth on the horse speech where you like
Yes.
got your sword in the air and everything.
And you're like, today's the day we're men and we
Right.
die.
We
and
ride into this battle.
follow me and
And-
pride and big wiener energy.
Kill.
Go. Things.
Win.
Fight. I don't know those words.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
That was a very inspiring speech we just gave, I thought.
I think that we should record that and
We just did.
I think we should take a snippet of that though, and every
Yeah.
time we have to do something big and scary, we should play it.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's very encouraging.
Right.
Okay, but here's what Doofus has to say.
Doofus. Got
Doofus.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, ready?
Yep.
Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or discouraged because of the king of Assyria and the vast army with him. For there is a greater power with us than with him.
I bet it's God.
I bet it's
You
God.
think it's God?
Because our God's better than their God.
Right, yeah.
With him is only the arm of flesh, but with us is the Lord our God to help us and to fight our battles.
There it is. He's going to fight for you. You don't have to do shit.
He's going to put his power into your little dinky arm.
That's why we made all these weapons and stuff and shut off the water, because God's going to do it.
Yeah. And I don't believe that.
I mean, obviously they don't either.
And the people gained confidence from what Hezekiah, the king of Judah, said. Yeah, I bet they were excited that day.
Right?
Can't wait!
God's on our side.
So fun going into war. Look at this!
You know, I find that most people on any battlefield think that God's on their side, no matter what side they're on. So,
yeah.
I don't know.
Kind of.
It's weird how that works, you know?
It makes me laugh because, like, you're thinking, my God is with me. And then there's a guy on the other side saying the exact same thing.
My God is with me.
Yeah. And it's like...
They should just get to the middle of the field and just have a big theological debate.
No, my God. No,
and then
my
whoever
God.
wins the debate wins the battle.
Whoever pisses further. It's a
There
pissing
you
contest.
go. There you go. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Later, when Sennacherib, king of Assyria, and all his forces were laying siege to Lachish, he sent his officers to Jerusalem with this message for Hezekiah, king of Judah, and for all the people of Judah who were there.
Yeah.
Oh, ready?
I'm ready.
This is what Sennacherib, king of Assyria, says. On what are you basing your confidence that you remain in Jerusalem under siege? When Hezekiah says, the Lord our God will save us from the hand of the king of Assyria, he is misleading you to let you die of hunger and thirst. Did not Hezekiah himself remove this God's high places and altars, saying to Judah and Jerusalem, you must worship before one altar and burn sacrifices on it? Do you not know what I and my predecessors have done to all the peoples of the other lands? Were the gods of those nations ever able to deliver their land from my hand? Who of all the gods of these nations that my predecessors destroyed has been able to save his people from me?
I'm guessing by the way he's going on about it that there's nobody so far.
That would be...
He won all the battles.
It's probably a rhetorical question.
Yeah.
Is my guess.
Right.
Right.
They know.
But he's going on, so he's probably about to get his ass handed to him.
I mean, that's what I'm guessing too.
How then, he continued, can your God deliver you from my hand? Now do not let Hezekiah deceive you and mislead you like this. Do not believe him, For no God of any nation or kingdom has been able to deliver his people from my hand or the hand of my predecessors.
Yeah.
How much less will your God deliver you from my hand? It felt like there should be an evil laugh at the end,
I
right?
agree.
Twirly
That was well
mustache.
placed. Yeah, for sure.
Sennacherib's officers spoke further against the Lord God and against his servant Hezekiah. The king also wrote letters ridiculing the Lord, the God of Israel, and saying this against him. Typity type.
I mean, right? Like, you're going into battle and instead you're writing fucking letters? Okay.
Like, Dear Hezekiah, you're ugly. You suck so much. And your mom is a whale. Love me.
Right, yeah.
Just as the gods, typity type, of the peoples of the other lands did not rescue their people, typity type, from my hand, so the God of Hezekiah, typity type, will not rescue his people from my hand.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. That's some letter.
Yep.
You got that one.
Good stuff.
Or I guess back then it would have been what? Morse code. Beep, 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 beep.
Scroll.
Dish, dash,
or
dot,
like,
dot,
or like
dot, dot.
No, they didn't know Morse code back then.
I know. I was being funny. They didn't have typewriters either.
No, I know.
Then they called out in Hebrew to the people of Jerusalem who were on the wall to terrify them and make them afraid in order to capture the city. And I think that the one guy's going to be like, yo, can you not talk in our language? Because I don't want them to hear you.
Oh, okay.
I don't want them to hear you saying this shit.
Got it.
They spoke about the God of Jerusalem as they did about the gods of the other peoples of the world, the work of human hands. Okay, ready?
Ready.
Next section. King Hezekiah and the prophet Isaiah, son of Amoz, cried out in prayer to heaven about this. And the Lord sent an angel who annihilated all the fighting men.
Oh, fuck.
And the commanders and officers in the camp of the Assyrian king.
Damn.
Oh, I got that one wrong.
You got that one wrong?
I mean,
they got beat.
So I got that one right. But as far as the, please stop speaking in our language, I got that one wrong.
That might have been something, war. I don't know, who knows.
Different war, different chapter, whatever.
Right.
Might have been the same war.
Yeah, it could have been the same thing. Just, different writer.
Yeah, who knows. So he withdrew to his own land in disgrace. And when he went into the temple of his God, some of his sons, his own flesh and blood, cut him down with the sword.
Damn.
They stabbed their daddy.
It's rough.
So the Lord saved Hezekiah and the people of Jerusalem from the hand of Sennacherib, king of Assyria, and from the hand of all others. He took care of them on every side.
Yeah.
Damn. Many brought offerings to Jerusalem for the Lord and valuable gifts for Hezekiah, king of Judah.
I mean, look, so if you witnessed an angel come down and destroy an army, right?
I'm done.
I believe in God. Yeah. I would. But that's not what happens.
No, that's not what happens.
That's
and
never
that's not what happened.
Duh. So, I don't if they got destroyed by something else, it would have been something like a tornado or I don't know,
earthquake.
Yeah, but it was not a fucking angel.
It was not an angel of the Lord.
No.
But the Bible continues. From then on, Hezekiah, was highly regarded by all the nations.
I mean, you beat the guy that's beating all the people.
Yeah.
And they're going to be like, hey, that guy's all right.
He's all right.
He beat that guy.
He's in with
that
God.
That guy was a dick.
Yeah.
This guy beat the guy that was a dick, so we like that guy.
Yeah, sure.
I'm
sure. Whatever.
Right.
Okay, the next section, it doesn't bode well. Ready?
I'm ready.
In those days, Hezekiah became ill.
Oh.
And was at the point of death.
Man.
Good guy about to die.
Why did God let him get ill? Why is he getting ill?
What a dick.
Right?
He prayed to the Lord who answered him and gave him a miraculous sign.
Oh.
Ready?
I'm ready.
But Hezekiah's heart was proud, and he did not respond to the kindness shown him.
Man.
What a dumbass. Therefore the Lord's wrath was on him and on Judah and Jerusalem.
Of course.
Then Hezekiah repented of his pride. He was like, just kidding. Of his heart, as did the people of Jerusalem. Therefore the Lord's wrath did not come on them during the days of Hezekiah.
Okay.
Oh, is this when he wore a potato cloth and was like, sorry?
I think that's correct, yeah.
Sorry, I was proud at you.
Yeah.
Can you take it back? And God was like, of course. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
It's fine.
They're also
just joshing
very
with you.
fickle back then with their love of God and all that. And God didn't used to be as fickle as this.
Right.
God used to be like, no, fuck you, dead.
Yeah.
No,
dead,
fuck you,
dead.
And no more. No, he doesn't do it anymore.
No.
Now he's like, you changed your mind? Okay. We're good. Hey, bro, you're on Team God, I'm on Team you. You know?
Yeah. Ever since the time of Judges, it's like he pulled back and I was like, fuck ever.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like these fuckers are always back and forth. Just whenever they're on my side, I guess I'll be on their side.
Sure.
You know?
But only kind of, if I feel like it.
You know, sometimes, sort of, kind of.
Yeah. Okay, next section.
Okay.
Yep. That was, he got sick and then he didn't.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hezekiah had a very great wealth and honor, and he made treasuries for his silver and gold, for his precious stones, spices, shields, and all kinds of valuables.
Mm-hmm.
He also made buildings to store the harvest of grain, new wine, and olive oil.
He's rich.
Yeah. Remember all the heaps?
Yeah, the heaps.
He had storehouses and warehouses.
Heaps and heaps of heaps.
Yeah. And he made stalls for various kinds of cattle and pens for the flocks.
Mm-hmm.
He made things and stuff and whatnot.
Because he had wealth.
He built villages and acquired great numbers of flocks and herds, for God had given him very great riches.
Because God.
Mm-hmm.
It was because God.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It was Hezekiah who blocked the upper outlet of the Gihon Spring and channeled the water down to the west side of the city of David. He succeeded in everything he undertook.
Wow, that's amazing.
He's so the best.
He is so on God's side, except for that one time when he wasn't.
Right. Yeah. And he's not as smart as Solomon, of course. And Solomon was awesome smart, except for he did have 1,000 wives. So
right. And he wasn't always good either, yeah.
Right. But when envoys were sent by the rulers of Babylon to ask him about the miraculous sign that had occurred in the land, God left him to test him and to know everything that was in his heart. Why does God do that?
I don't know. I don't quite understand that.
Why do you need to test him? Don't you know what's in his heart?
Especially when you can just change your mind and be back on your side. You know? Like, you can test me, and then if I'm wrong, then you're going to punish me briefly, and then I can be like, oh, potato sack.
Sorry, potato sack.
And then I'm back on your side, you know?
Yeah.
Like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Fuck cares.
This is dumb.
Right.
Okay, ready?
I'm ready.
It's looking bad.
All right.
Next section.
The
other events of Hezekiah's reign and his acts of devotion are written in the vision of the prophet Isaiah, son of Amoz, in the book of the kings of Judah and Israel.
Apparently, we are done not having those things written in the book. So,
right?
Yeah.
That is more exciting than whatever that sentence was about.
Right. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. The fact that the words are present.
King is dying and moving on. You know, that was his reign.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Hezekiah rested with his ancestors and was buried on the hill where the tombs of David's descendants are. All Judah and the people of Jerusalem honored him when he died, and Manasseh, his son, succeeded him as king. The end.
Awesome. Way to go, Hezekiah. You were mostly godly.
Sometimes,
mostly. You had heaps, though. You had lots of fucking heaps.
You got them heaps.
And, you can't discount having heaps. Heaps are important.
I feel like I should write a book called Heaps and Leftovers.
All right. Well, that was 2 Chronicles chapter 32.
Sure as fuck was.
And tomorrow we will be back with
2 Chronicles chapter 33.
We'll see you guys then.
Bye. Husband!
Wife!
Do you remember what happened yesterday?
Yeah, Hezekiah was good, and then he was bad, and then he was good again. But the important bit is he got to be buried in the good cemetery.
That is important.
I mean, that says it all right there.
And also, he was at war with Sennacherib, and Sennacherib went wee all the way home, and then his son stabbed him.
Yeah, he didn't fare very well.
Yeah, he's so bad.
Yeah, so that was the gist of 2 Chronicles chapter 32.
Sure as fuck was.
And today we're going to be reading
2 Chronicles chapter 33.
Let's go do this.
Okie dokie. Okay, 2 Chronicles chapter 33.
Okay.
But before I begin that, I have to remind you that Hezekiah died, and then his son Manasseh took over.
Right.
Okay? So, Manasseh was 12 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem. Hold on to your butts. How long do you think that he reigned?
I'm going to go 16 years.
More.
35 years.
More!
50 years?
55 motherfucking years
Holy
this kid
shit.
reigned.
He better be the best of the best.
I bet he's not. Oh, look. Next sentence will tell us.
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
He did evil in the eyes of the Lord.
What the fuck? He's reigned like one of the longest terms and he did evil? What?
He did evil. Following the detestable practices of the nations the Lord had driven out before the Israelites.
That's crazy.
Where'd he learn that from? Not his dad. His dad was awesome.
Yeah.
Hezekiah should be like on t-shirts. Like, he was so fucking awesome. He was better than David. For real, for real.
Well, to be fair, his dad only lived till he was 12. So, like, maybe he had somebody take over that was like, no, we're going to teach you the bad ways now.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah. He rebuilt the high places his father Hezekiah had demolished. Do you know what the high places were? We covered this briefly.
Assuming they were temples on mountains or something.
Yeah, and they were kind of like the Tower of Babel kind of thing, where it was places that, they were not built by Levites. They were built by whoever wanted to do these altars.
Got it.
And pray to whatever gods, but they were built in high places, like on hills,
trying to reach the gods.
Trying to reach the gods, yeah, because they thought the higher they are, then the better God will hear them.
I mean, it makes some sense in the
if you're going to be
stupid
and simple, yeah.
Right?
If you're going to be an ignoramus,
right,
it makes perfectly logical sense.
Right.
Yeah. So he rebuilt all those high places. He also erected altars. He said erected altars to the Baals.
Baals.
You know, all of them,
the
guys.
Baals.
It says the Baals.
Baals.
Well, it says the Baals.
Okay.
And he made Asherah-poles.
Wow. He
bowed down to all the starry hosts and worshipped them.
And apparently God was just like, whatever.
Starry, starry,
Didn't give this guy, like, leprosy, didn't
Nope.
do any of that shit.
None of that.
He reigned for 55 fucking years.
Yep.
Okay. Right.
He built altars in the temple of the Lord, of which the Lord had said, my name will remain in Jerusalem forever.
Mm-hmm.
In both courts of the temple of the Lord, he built altars to all the starry hosts. I really like that phrasing.
Starry hosts.
Starry hosts.
Yeah.
He sacrificed his children in the fire
of
the valley of Ben Hinnom, practiced divination and witchcraft, sought omens, and consulted mediums and spiritists.
And this guy was about as bad as they come.
Mm-hmm. He did much evil in the eyes of the Lord, arousing his anger.
That's what they're saying here.
He erected and aroused. He took the image he had made and put it in God's temple, of which God had said to David and to his son Solomon, in this temple and in Jerusalem, which I have chosen out of all the tribes of Israel, I'll put my name forever. I'll not again make the feet of the Israelites leave the land I assigned to your ancestors, if only they will be careful to do everything I commanded them concerning all the laws, decrees, regulations given through Moses.
Small print.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean...
Yeah, no, I know. Disclaimer, small print, whatever. Yeah.
But, I mean, that was part of, like, I was just reading it just then.
No, I know. But it sounded like a fucking disclaimer.
It did.
Yeah.
But Manasseh led Judah and the people of Jerusalem astray, so that they did more evil than the nations the Lord had destroyed before the Israelites. They were the evilest evil that ever evil.
Right?
The Lord spoke to Manasseh and his people, but they paid no fucking attention. So then he did not speak loud enough.
Right. And he didn't, like, he's punished people in the past, like, with death and things that were close to death.
Yeah.
And yet this guy reigned, I'm sorry, I'm just going to keep saying it. He reigned for 55 fucking years.
Do something.
What's he doing here?
Or as Britney Spears said, why don't you do something?
Because again, the people don't give a shit. They're following their king.
Yeah.
Because he's the king.
He's the king.
Right.
And king's going to king, and you better do what your king says, or
right.
else you ain't going to be doing nothing.
Yeah.
Because you'll be dead.
Right.
So the Lord brought against them the army commanders of the king of Assyria, who took Manasseh prisoner, put a hook in his nose, bound him with bronze shackles, and took him to Babylon.
Wait, he reigned for 55 years, though.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. I'm listening.
In his distress, he sought the favor of the Lord his God and humbled himself greatly before the God of his ancestors.
Oh, wasn't this the Exodus? Like, wasn't this the part where they took them to Babylon? Like, this is the Babylonian king that conquered them, basically, right?
Sure.
They're making it sound a little less terrible in this one than they did in the last one.
I mean, it is the chronicler.
Right.
He is quite the liar.
Yeah.
And when he prayed to him, the Lord was moved by his entreaty and listened to his plea.
Of course he was.
So he brought him back to Jerusalem and to his kingdom. Then Manasseh knew that the Lord is God.
Oh, okay.
Right?
So now he's going to do good?
Okay.
Maybe?
Maybe. I bet not, though.
Right?
Afterward, he rebuilt the outer wall of the city of David, west of the Gihon Spring in the valley, as far as the entrance of the Fish Gate, and encircling the hill of Ophel. He also made it much higher. He stationed military commanders in all the fortified cities in Judah. He got rid of the foreign gods and removed the image from the temple of the Lord, as well as all the altars he had built on the temple hill and in Jerusalem.
So this wasn't the Babylonian conquering thing.
I have no idea.
They just took him prisoner for a bit, I guess.
For a minute.
He was like, yo, God, help.
Sorry. And he threw them out of the city. Okay. All the things.
Yeah.
Then he restored the altar of the Lord and sacrificed fellowship offerings and thank offerings on it.
What the fuck's a fellowship offering? I haven't heard that before.
I don't know.
That's a new offering.
Maybe they chop off toenails.
Oh, okay.
Of their friends.
Sure.
Fellowship.
Yeah, I don't know.
And told Judah to serve the Lord, the God of Israel.
Yeah, Judah, you do that thing that we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And not the other thing that I wasn't supposed to do.
Remember that thing just then when I was bad and I led you this way? I was just kidding. Go back the other way.
Yeah.
The people, however, continued to sacrifice at the high places, but only to the Lord their God. I mean, to be fair, they're like confused.
Yeah, they're like, wait, you just said you built these things, man. We're just using them.
I'm just trying to grow my sheep and sow my potatoes.
Right.
You know, I'm just trying, I don't, whatever. Lord God, whatever, you know. The other events of Manasseh's reign, including his prayer to his God and the words the seer spoke to him in the name of the Lord, the God of Israel, are written in the annals of the kings of Israel.
Huh. Okay.
Look at that. Look at that.
They fixed it.
They did.
Yeah.
His prayer and how God was moved by his entreaty, as well as all his sins and unfaithfulness, and the sites where he built high places and set up Asherah poles and idols before he humbled himself, all these are written in the records of the seers. Manasseh rested with his ancestors and was buried in his palace. And Amon, his son, succeeded him as king.
Wait, he was buried in his palace? So he wasn't buried in the place where the rest of the kings were buried. He was buried in the palace. That's interesting.
I have questions about that.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's hard to say, but like it didn't say that they definitely stipulated it differently in previous chapters as to where people were buried.
He rested with his ancestors and was buried in his palace.
Right. Okay. So is the palace like okay?
It often, remember I told you, often it'll say they were buried in the palace or they were buried in their home. And it means that they were buried underneath in the crypt beneath where they lived.
Okay, all right.
And so that might actually be where all the other kings were buried.
All right, fair enough.
So I'm not making an argument that he got to be buried with the other kings. I'm just saying I don't know one way or the other.
It's
and
interesting.
He might very well
like if this
been.
is the same writer, it's an interesting
turn of phrase.
Yeah. Right.
No, I totally agree with you.
Just curious.
There's no way to know whether he was buried with his king or not based on this phrasing.
Right.
I don't think I even phrased what I just said correctly.
You didn't say it correctly, no.
So,
but I know what you meant.
And hopefully listeners did too. I'm an idiot! Okay. So his son Amon was 22 years old when he became king. And he reigned in Jerusalem 2 years. And in that 2 years, guess what?
Didn't do what was pleasing in the eyes of the Lord.
He did evil in the eyes of the Lord, as his father Manasseh had done.
But he got to reign 55 years. Yeah.
And, Manasseh had a chance to apologize.
Yeah.
Be like, my bad.
Yeah, that's true.
But he had to get kidnapped first and had a, thing. Yeah. Amon worshipped and offered sacrifices to all the idols Manasseh had made.
Yeah.
But, unlike his father Manasseh, he did not humble himself before the Lord. Amon increased his guilt.
I mean, to be fair, he only gave him 2 years.
Yeah, and other dude, Manasseh, he got invaded.
Right.
Like, he literally had an opportunity to humble himself. I didn't see you
give this guy an opportunity exactly.
Right.
You just basically let him rule 2 years and then he's done.
Yeah. Amon's officials conspired against him and assassanated him in his palace.
It just sounds like he was an asshole of a king, that's all.
He was just a bad king and his people hated him. It has nothing to do with
God.
Yeah.
He's just a dick.
Yep.
Whatever. Kings are dicks sometimes, you know? That's what happens when you have kings.
They're usually dicks, if we're being honest.
Yeah, right.
Then the people of the land killed all who had plotted against King Amon, and they made Josiah his son king in his place. The end.
Okay. So the people were like, no, fuck no, you can't kill our king.
Yeah.
And they're like, we're going to kill you. And
Yeah.
then they're like, and now his son's king. And then we'll see if he's good or bad. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, that's yet to be determined. But we don't like you killing the king.
And we'll pray whichever way he tells us to.
Yeah, you just leave our kings alone, guys.
Yeah, we like this. He's going to lead to Jesus someday, don't you know? We got to have our kings in here.
Yeah, that.
Whatever.
Okay, so anyway, that was 2 Chronicles chapter 33.
Sure as fuck was.
And tomorrow we'll be back with...
We will be back with 2 chapters. No, we won't.
We won't. That's on Friday. Yeah.
Nothing.
Okay, yeah, nothing to see here.
So tomorrow we will be back with 2 Chronicles chapter 34.
Yeah.
And then on Friday we'll be doing chapters 35 and then chapter 36.
Right, to wrap up the book.
Finish up 2 Chronicles.
Yeah. So we'll see you guys tomorrow and then again on Friday and then again on Friday.
And again and again.
Right. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye. Husband.
Wife.
Do you remember what happened the day before yesterday?
Yeah. So, we should probably address that real quick. So, yeah, we started looking at what we have coming up here. Mm-hmm. And our schedule was either going to be cramming it all into the next few days and doing like 10 episodes in like 3 days.
Yeah.
And we're like, fuck that.
Yeah, basically.
Because wife really loves to end our books on the end of a week. So like, so we can do the Saturday and Sunday episodes correctly.
Yeah.
So we decided to take a 1-day break instead of cramming it all in and come back and we're gonna spread everything out through the end of next week and maybe do a couple of oddball episodes next week as well. So that's how we're playing this and
So sorry about last night. We were like, what on earth? No.
Right, yeah.
Got a little overwhelmed.
Definitely. As for what happened in the last episode 2 days ago, so we had a guy that was Manasseh, right?
Yes.
Yeah. He was king and he was a shit ass king.
He was a shit ass bad boy,
killing
baby
his
burning.
he was killing his babies and fucking doing all kinds of bad shit. And then God didn't do anything to him. He reigned for like 50 years and he said he was sorry at one point. Like,
well, only because he got attacked. And so then he was like, oh, shit. And they put a hook through his nose. And he's like, guess I better tell God sorry.
Right.
And so then he told God sorry. And so then he got to be let go. And then he was like, I guess I'll do good now.
But no, other kings, they do something wrong. They're like, bam, leprosy.
Yep.
Bam, dead.
Yep.
I'm like, what? Where's the smiting? Where's the fucking punishment?
Right.
No, he gets to just apologize for burning babies?
I know.
Fuck you. It's fucking bullshit.
Total bullshit.
All right, on to something a little nicer, though.
Well.
Oh, well.
I was
okay, sorry.
Not done summarizing.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
So he said sorry, and then so he got to be buried with the kings when he died, and then his son Amon took over.
Oh, that's right, for like 2 seconds.
For 2 seconds, and then he got killed. But then the people that killed him, well, no, the people were like, how dare you kill our bad king?
Right,
so then they killed those guys.
Right. And then they installed one of his sons.
Yeah, they made Josiah his king.
Yeah.
His
crazy ass shit.
Replacement.
That's stupid.
Yeah. So,
whatever.
So I felt like it was important to not just stop at Manasseh.
Yeah. No, there was other kings in there. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, on to nicer stuff though.
Nicer stuff. We
have a new patron.
What?
Yeah. They subscribed on Patreon here just recently, and their name is Victor T.
Victor T.
And they subscribed. I didn't even know this was a level. Must be something in a different country. I'm not really sure, but it's at like a $3.50 level or something.
Oh my god, that's amazing,
which
Victor
is
T.
Awesome.
Thank you.
It's awesome. Every bit helps. I mean, seriously, like I couldn't say enough, but like if just like half of our listeners, which would never happen, but if it did, they all subscribed at the lowest level. Shit, we could like just travel around and meet everybody.
That would be really fun.
We're gonna come see you and you and you. I mean, maybe in groups, but we'll come see you.
I mean, like you should probably be vaccinated though.
Well, yeah.
I'm still a little leery of the whole coronavirus thing, but yes.
Maybe in the summer we can have like a outdoor, meet and greet at a picnic shelter or something.
That would be so fun.
Yeah.
But Victor T, thank you so much. It's so appreciated. You just can't know what it means to us that you're your giving of your resources and time, and just thank you. It's so humbling. Thank you.
It really is. It really is. And if anybody else would like to help us out, it is always appreciated. Just go to patreon.com/sacrilegious discourse. Wow, I couldn't speak there for a second. And that's our main page there. There's levels all the way from $2 to $100. Whatever fits your budget is always, always, always appreciated. So
indeed, thank you.
So that was 2 Chronicles chapter 33 that we just did 2 days ago that we're late on.
Sure as fuck was.
And today we're going to be reading
2 Chronicles chapter 34.
All right, let's go do this.
Okie dokie. Okay. 2 Chronicles chapter 34.
Okay.
So we're picking up with Josiah. Okay.
Yep.
Josiah was 8 years old when he became king.
Because his dad only lasted like 2 seconds. So
right.
they were like, oh, fuck.
No,
I guess we get the little one here.
And he reigned in Jerusalem 31 years.
I mean, he was 8 years old, so that means he didn't even make it to 40.
Right?
Shit.
Jeez. He did what was right in the eyes of the Lord and followed the ways of his father David.
But Manasseh got to reign for 50 years. That was after he took power.
Mm-hmm.
And he was killing babies.
Mm-hmm.
That's bullshit.
Not turning aside to the right or to the left. Meaning he stayed on the straight path.
Okay.
Yeah. He was not
But do you think it was
tempted.
the entire time?
That's what it's saying. He was not tempted.
Right now it says that, but like maybe 2 sentences from now it might say something different.
True. Let's keep reading.
Yeah.
In the 8th year of his reign, so this kid is 16 years old now.
16, yeah.
While he was still young.
Just got his horse and buggy license. You know?
I was just going to say his driver's license. He began to seek the God of his father David.
Okay.
I like that they're calling it his father instead of his like great grandfather.
Right, yeah. Definitely.
The chronicler sneaking that in there again.
Yeah.
Love you, David. In his 12th year, he began to purge Judah and Jerusalem of high places, Asherah poles, and idols. Okay. Good on you, boy. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Under his direction, the altars of the Baals were torn down. He cut to pieces the incense altars that were above them and smashed the Asherah poles and the idols.
You gotta smash them. You can't just like disassemble them.
Right.
You gotta smash them.
Well, I mean, they were probably like made of brick or ceramic or whatever, right?
Right.
Is my...
But you maybe like unmortar the brick or something, you know, and use the bricks again. I mean, you know.
I'm imagining the idols were like ceramic doll-like figures. Like figurines, you know? And you smash it, you throw it to the ground.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that, like, what do you mean disassemble?
I don't know. I'm just trying to, recycle, you know?
Are you assembling an altar?
I mean, you never know. I don't know. I mean, they used to make those altars out of the rocks, so you just take the rocks apart and you can reuse the rocks for something else, like a wall.
Oh my God.
Or a battlement, you know?
No.
You need it for the battlements.
That's not how that works.
Okay.
These he broke to pieces and scattered over the graves of those who had sacrificed to them.
Oh.
Damn. He's like salting their graves with it.
But they like those gods, so they're probably
like, here, have it.
Whatever. I'll take them. Those are my gods.
He burned the bones of the priests on their altars, and so he purged Judah and Jerusalem. He was not joking around.
He burned the priests' bones?
Yep.
Damn.
Yep. Have you ever seen the remains of, like, if you have your cat cremated and they give you the box back?
No.
My sister had a couple cats at different times died through her life, and they give them the remains. And I always just imagined that it was like all ashes, but it's not. And,
right.
And so, like, you don't open it and look at it because that would be gross.
Right.
But you can hear and feel.
There's little bits in there.
There's bits and pieces, like probably teeth and a couple of bones that didn't quite like melt down all the way or whatever.
Yeah.
Like it's really grody. And so I imagine when Josiah is burning the priest's bones, there's still that little bit left.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
That's grody.
Right.
In the towns of Manasseh, Ephraim, and Simon, as far as Naphtali and in the ruins around them, he tore down the altars and the Asherah poles and crushed the idols to powder.
Crushed them.
And cut to pieces all the incense altars throughout Israel.
What do you suppose he crushed them with?
Then he went back to Jerusalem.
Did he have like a stomping pole or something? Like, a little metal stake that you like pound them to dust?
If they're just like ceramic figurines, he might have just stepped on them.
That's true. Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Right.
I'm imagining. I'm
I'm trying to be funny, and you're taking it seriously.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm just, I'm like, okay. I'm waiting for some like, cut here, and you're like, I don't know, maybe he's doing this, and I'm like, I don't give a fuck. He's smashing the shit.
Okay, that reminds me actually of the time that I worked in an office, and my boss was bringing boxes in, and so I was like, oh, I'll help, and I went out to get one, and she was like, you're gonna want to use the dolly, and I was like, oh no, I can carry it. It's fine. Mm-hmm. Like, it's a little heavy, but whatever. And she was like, no, you're going to want to use the dolly.
Okay.
And I brought the box in, and I didn't realize that, like, yeah, that was so nice of me to bring that one box in. But, like, hello, there's, like, a whole truckload. And I didn't realize that. Yeah, I wanted to use the dolly.
Yeah, I bet you did.
Yeah. And, okay, but there's, me not understanding why you need a tool. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so, like, another time was opening letters. I was like, who needs a fucking letter opener? That's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, if you only open, like,
2 letters a day or something.
Well, even, like, how often do we open envelopes?
I mean, not very often.
Not very often, right?
Right.
But if you're opening a bunch, especially, like, during, like, a seasonal activity where I'm, like, stacks and stacks, mm-hmm. Yeah, you want a fucking letter opener.
Yeah, because you don't want paper cuts.
Right. So, see, I'm picturing... He throws a figurine down and he stomps on it with his foot, right? But no, you're right. He needed a dolly. He needed a letter opener.
If you're smashing a ton of these things, you gotta crush them with something.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
So I don't know what he crushed them with.
Right.
But it wasn't funny.
No.
Okay, sorry. In the 18th year, so 2 years later, of Josiah's reign. Well, no. I thought it was going to say when he was 18, but no, it's 18 years later.
Right.
Regardless of how old he is.
Sure.
To purify the land and the temple, he sent Shaphan, son of Azaliah, and Messiah, the ruler of the city, with Joah, son of Joahaz, the recorder, to repair the temple of the Lord his God.
Okay.
They went to Hilkiah, the high priest, and gave him the money that had been brought into the temple of God, which the Levites, who were the gatekeepers, had collected from the people of Manasseh, Ephraim, and the entire remnant of Israel, and from all the people of Judah and Benjamin and the inhabitants of Jerusalem.
Got it.
Then they entrusted it to the men appointed to supervise the work on the Lord's temple.
And these guys were the trustworthy ones, weren't they? They were the ones that always did things correctly, and they never charged too much, and they did all the things correct, right?
They did all things correct.
That's what I recall from that. So.
Yeah, and I said, oh no, because I had...
lost your spot?
I had lost my spot again.
Yeah, and here I was covering really well. You could have just skipped over
But
that.
I didn't know because I said, oh no, at the same time, and so then I had to explain why I said, oh no.
Got it.
Yeah, we're professionals.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, don't you know?
Okay, so these men paid the workers who repaired and restored the temple. Yeah, they could totally be trusted. Mm-hmm. They were capably... That was from Kings, but
mm-hmm. they were very trustworthy.
Yeah. They also gave money to the carpenters and builders to purchase dressed stone as opposed to naked stone.
What is dressed stone?
I don't know.
I'm curious.
They wore their shoes and pants.
I don't know what dressed stone is.
All my stones are naked.
Right. Yeah. I mean, all the stones I have are naked as well.
How many stones do you have?
I'd have to go around and count. I don't know that I have a whole lot.
No, I don't either.
Yeah. I mean, there's probably some stones in here. I just don't know.
There's a couple of polished stones in the backyard from the people that lived in the house before us.
Is there?
Yeah, they decorated a couple and put in the window on the outside.
Oh, that's right.
And I just left them because I just thought they were neat.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Our kid used to love to give us rocks.
Oh my God, and how?
Yeah.
Like boxes and boxes of fucking rocks.
Right.
You love a toddler when you let them give you fucking rocks and pretend that the rocks are special.
And they would remember them sometimes. So where's that one?
Where's that
one? I'm like, wait, you remember that?
Like, oh, honey, we had to put it back outside so it could be with its other rock friends. Oh my God, so many fucking rocks.
Yeah.
If you have kids, shout out. You know.
Yeah, rocks.
If you know, you know. Yeah. Okay, so blah, blah, blah. Timber for joists and beams for the buildings that the kings of Judah had allowed to fall into ruin. The workers labored faithfully. Over them to direct them were Jahath and Obadiah, Levites descended from Merari, and Zechariah and Meshullam descended from Kohath.
Yeah, it's important shit.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The Levites all who were skilled in playing musical instruments,
Yeah.
except for not the
Not
saxophone,
the saxophone.
had charge of the laborers. I'm so sorry, but he's like, these guys were so good at playing music, and also they supervised
Right.
all the workers from job to job.
Well, I feel like the music playing was very important. They bring it up a lot.
They do.
So it must have been a very high-profile job.
Like, this is how we supervise. We play music at you.
Right. So maybe they just were really well thought of people. So they're like, and you can do this too. You know, I don't know.
So while you're playing music, can you stand here? Thank you.
Right. I mean, you can watch somebody work while you're playing,
Sure.
trumpet or something, right?
I guess.
So.
I don't want to either work or play a trumpet.
Right.
I'm kind of lazy, actually. I just want to lay in the sun.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest.
Right.
Some of the Levites were secretaries, scribes, and gatekeepers. Okay?
Were they?
Just so you know.
Yeah.
Some were. I bet some also were herdsmen and fed the animals. And I bet some were also people who tied their shoes and put pants on. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know, whatever.
Yeah. No, totally. But
Well,
some were kids. Didn't do anything.
Some wiped their ass. Some
Right?
didn't.
Yeah. Well, I hope they all did, but
Some didn't.
probably not.
Boy's nasty. While they were out bringing the money that had been taken into the temple of the Lord, Hilkiah the priest found the book of the law of the Lord that had been given through Moses.
This is where they found the book.
Mm-hmm.
And we were like,
look.
wait, they lost it? Like, we didn't know they lost it. We're like, what?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're like, look what I found.
So that would indicate to us that the ark is still around. Possibly. Because that book was supposed to be with the ark.
Mm-hmm.
But also, how do you lose the ark?
Right.
You know what I mean? I feel like maybe I don't know.
I feel like it was in Ethiopia all
yeah, I was
going
to say, we discussed it maybe being in Ethiopia. So maybe that got taken to Ethiopia, and the book had been, somebody was like looking at it as they were taking it out, and they're like, oh, I don't really need this book, and just set it down. And then the book got lost, and they're like, oh, look, there's the book.
Look at that.
Yeah,
it's a whole Bible.
We don't have the ark anymore, but man, we got the book.
We got the book.
That's the book, man.
Yeah. I think that the ark is in Ethiopia.
I mean, that's my theory too.
Yeah.
It seems the most plausible.
I want somebody to do a documentary. I think we already said all this.
I want to just fly a fucking little mini drone in there and just see if we can, you know what I mean? Like, see if we can get a picture of it or something.
Yeah, like there go the ark.
Right?
Hilkiah said to Shaphan the secretary, I found the book of the law in the temple of the Lord. What? He gave it to Shaphan. Then Shaphan took the book to the king and reported to him, your officials are doing everything that has been committed to them. They have paid out the money that was in the temple of the Lord and have entrusted it to the supervisors and workers.
Mm-hmm.
Then Shaphan the secretary informed the king, hey, guess what? Hilkiah the priest has given me a book.
Yeah.
Yo, what up? This is so cool.
Yeah.
And Shaphan read from it in the presence of the king.
Ah.
When the king heard the words of the law, he tore his robes.
Did he now? Because he's like, fuck, we've been doing this wrong.
I've been doing the God thing so wrong.
But don't you think if you were doing it wrong and you were doing right, like this guy's supposedly doing right by the Lord, right?
Yeah.
Don't you think God would be like, hey, I know you don't know this because you guys, somebody years ago misplaced this fucking book.
Right.
But you're doing this wrong, guys. You need to change your ways because this is wrong.
Because then in this case, it wouldn't be their fault they're doing it wrong.
Right.
They were not
The
told.
prophets come down and tell them all kinds of other shit. Like, don't go to battle and stuff like that. Why can't they tell them, hey, you're doing this wrong?
Yeah.
I mean, like, what?
I could tell you that
saying.
I would not want to be the prophet that is telling the king you're doing God wrong.
Yeah, but they don't seem to have any qualms with
telling them,
calling the kings out sometimes.
Right.
So they're like, I'm with God, so you're wrong.
Yeah.
And then the kings are like, well, okay,
but
or
I'm
not.
The king, though.
Right.
I wouldn't want to be the prophet.
No, I mean,
I wouldn't mind being a prophet as long as nobody knew that I was a prophet and I could keep that shit to myself.
Right.
I'll do right in my house.
Well, besides, if you're a prophet and you're wrong, they can stone you to death.
Yeah.
So you always have to be right.
Yeah, I'm not trying to.
Right.
I'm not trying to tell people my prophecies.
Right.
Fuck that. He gave these orders to Hilkiah, Ahikam, son of Shaphan, Abdon, son of Micah, Shaphan the secretary, and Aziah, the king's attendant. Okay, so he's given these instructions. Ready?
Got it, yeah.
Go and inquire of the Lord for me and for the remnant in Israel and Judah about what is written in this book that has been found. Great is the Lord's fucking anger that is poured out on us, because those who have gone before us have not kept the fucking word of the Lord. God damn it.
Yeah.
They have not acted in fucking accordance with all that is written in this goddamn book.
They're like, look at this shit. We aren't supposed to be eating that shrimp, and we're not supposed to be wearing these mixed threads.
Right.
And we're not supposed to be eating bacon. Like,
Oh.
guys, we are fucking up, man.
We all got to go get circumcised pronto.
I'm not sure why we haven't all been smoked, but, here it is.
Oh,
we got to watch out from now on.
Yeah, because now we know.
Because now it's there.
Yeah.
And that makes all the difference. Now that we've read it, we know better.
Yep.
And God didn't tell us before, but he got this book out for some reason. He's like, maybe we're going to pull out these old rules.
Right.
So
Hilkiah and those the king had sent with him went to speak to the prophet Huldah, who was the wife of Shallum, son of Tokath, the son of Hazra, keeper of the wardrobe. She lived in Jerusalem in the new quarter.
Okay.
I forgot they went and talked to a woman.
Yeah, I forgot that too. But she was pretty important, it seemed like, or something.
I don't recall.
Maybe I'm not thinking of the right person, but they're talking to a woman.
I know. That's pretty fucking amazing. She said to them, "This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. Tell the man who sent you to me, this is what the Lord says. I am going to bring disaster on this place and its people. All the curses written in the book that has been read in the presence of the king of Judah, because they have forsaken me and burned incense to other gods and aroused my anger by all that their hands have made. My anger will be poured out on this place and will not be quenched."
But this guy was a good king.
But
and
now
he's getting rid of all that shit.
I wasn't mad till you reminded me by reading it. Now I remember how much I hate you.
That's bullshit.
I'm gonna smite you so bad.
I don't approve of this. That's bullshit.
He is so sing-songy. I don't know why I made him. Her, she's sing-songy.
Right, yeah.
Seemed like some a dumb man would say, though.
That would
yeah. Yeah, she was sing-songy, and she was like, "God hates you, nanny boo-boo, stick your head in doo-doo. Tell the king of Judah, who sent you to inquire of the Lord, this is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says concerning the words you heard. Because your heart was responsive, and you humbled yourself before God when you heard what he spoke against this place and its people, and because you humbled yourself before me, and tore your robes, and wept in my presence, I have heard you, declares the Lord. Now I will gather you to your ancestors, and you will be buried in peace. Your eyes will not see all the disaster I am going to bring on this place and on those who live here."
So he's gonna wait before he
He's like,
you guys are all right, but they're gonna continue to be bad after you're dead.
As soon as you're dead, it's on. I'm smiting the fuck out of all y'all.
Yeah, you guys bought a reprieve, but that's it.
Hope you don't have kids.
Right?
Because they are fucked.
Right? Yeah.
So they took her answer back to the king. Then the king called together all the elders of Judah and Jerusalem. He went up to the temple of the Lord with the people of Judah, the inhabitants of Jerusalem, the priests and the Levites, all the people from the least to the greatest. He read in their hearing all the words of the book of the covenant. That's a lot of fucking words.
That's a lot, yeah.
Which had been found in the temple of the Lord. Remember?
Because I'm assuming it's like all the books, like all the laws and all that kind of shit, and how to build this, that, and the other. And like you read all the words.
I mean, just even Leviticus alone.
Right?
Germany Christmas.
Yeah.
The king stood by his pillar and renewed the covenant in the presence of the Lord, to follow the Lord and keep his commands, statutes, and decrees with all his heart and soul, and to obey the words of the covenant written in this book. Then he had everyone in Jerusalem and Benjamin pledge themselves to it. The people of Jerusalem did this in accordance with the covenant of God, the God of their ancestors. Josiah removed all the detestable idols from all the territory belonging to the Israelites, and he had all who were present in Israel serve the Lord their God.
Okay.
As long as he lived, they did not fail to follow the Lord, the God of their ancestors. The end.
As long as he lived. Because it's about the king. It's always about the king.
As soon as he dies and somebody bad takes over, then the people suddenly just switch their religion.
Because it's not you can't. God's not enforcing shit.
Right.
You know, like that they've proven that in the fact that like
the book was lost and then it was found.
Well, yeah, and the punishments that he doles out are not equivalent. They're not equal. So it's not. There is no consistency to his behavior when it comes to punishing people that are bad and under his eyes or good.
Right.
So therefore, if you were to ask me as a person living in this country where, God and other gods exist according to people, then I'd be like, I'm just as likely to believe in that as some other god, because it doesn't make any sense.
Right.
He's not consistent. If he's a god, he would be consistent, wouldn't he?
I would think so. But that's why they believed in many different gods, because that explains the inconsistency from one god to another. But it's almost as if, like, every generation, their god is different from the god that lived previous to
Yeah,
to
no,
this
I mean,
one.
definitely the Lord, God, I am, has evolved from something to something else.
Yeah.
Like, it's definitely not the same God
Right.
that was at the beginning of the Bible, in the middle so far of what we read, and to now. It's definitely changed again and again and again and again as to what and where he punishes and how angry this God is, etc.
Yeah.
Like, it consistently is changing throughout the Bible.
He's a lot more hands off, and he's a lot angrier.
Yeah.
He's
at certain points.
He's either like uninterested or angry.
Right.
One or the other.
Yeah. And it usually just kind of comes out of nowhere.
Right.
So.
Exactly. It's not very loving, I can tell you that.
No.
I've not seen cases where he has actually loved the people.
Right.
I mean, the kindest thing he's done recently is be like, well, y'all did remind me how much I hate you and want to smite you, but,
But I won't kill you yet. I'll kill your progeny.
Your children. Yeah. I'll kill your children.
Right.
Y'all all right.
Yeah.
Because you're crying about how much you fucked up.
Right.
I forgive you, whatever. I'll just kill your kids.
All right. Well, that was 2 Chronicles chapter 34.
Sure as fuck was.
And tomorrow we will be back with
2 Chronicles chapter 35.
All right. We'll see you guys then.
Bye. Husband.
Wife.
Do you know what today is?
It's Saturday.
It sure is. It's Q&A Saturday.
And what are we covering today?
We are going to cue some high places and Sennacherib.
High places in Sennacherib.
2 separate topics.
I figured since it was 2 separate things.
Well, I just didn't want you to think it was high places and Sennacherib together. Like Sennacherib on high places.
Got it. High places, comma, and Sennacherib.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is Q&A for chapters 31 through
34.
4. That's right. We skipped an episode this
of
month.
2 Chronicles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My bad.
Yep.
I was thinking too hard there.
You really were.
Sorry.
It was painful to watch.
It was... All right. Well, let's go ahead and get into this, huh?
Okie dokie.
All right.
Okay, with regard to high places, I feel like we've covered this before.
Have we?
But when I was like looking up what are high places again now, so that we could look more into it, I don't think that we did a Q&A about it. Either that, or if we did, it was a very shoddy one.
I mean, is there more to it than they're just on the top of mountains?
Yeah. They are places of worship on elevated pieces of ground to bring worshippers closer to their false gods. We've talked about that.
Right.
And they were originally dedicated to idol worship, especially among the Moabites. So we talked about that.
Right.
And the shrines often included a stone altar, graven images as preserved on steles.
What exactly is a graven image?
An image that is graven. I think it's like engraved, maybe, like a graven image that is a image that you engraved onto something. I don't know.
Got it.
A sacred object.
It's a carved idol or representation of a god used as an object of worship.
Yeah, so I was kind of right. So, engraved into the stone.
It was bothering me. I had to know. So
yeah.
All right.
So I was kind of right.
Right.
Engraved onto stone.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's basically a fucking cave dwelling drawing.
Right.
But carved instead of like with crayons or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. It also often included a sacred object such as a stone pillar or wooden pole, like an Asherah pole, in various shapes identified with the object of worship, which would have been animals, constellations, goddesses, fertility deities, that kind of thing.
Sure.
Okay.
Yep.
It also would have held a cistern for water.
Okay.
So like a bowl of some sort.
Right.
But maybe the bowl wasn't like just a bowl. It was like actually...
Probably to cleanse their hands after like blood sacrifices and shit.
Yeah. And it probably would have been carved into like a dip in the altar.
Right.
A low stone tables for dressing the victims.
Right.
And then a hall for the sacrificial feasts.
A hall?
A hall.
Is that like a cart?
What?
What do you mean a hall?
Like a hallway? Like...
Oh, a hall.
What? Yeah.
Okay, so...
What did you think I was saying?
I don't know. It was struggling with what you meant by... I just wasn't expecting to hear a hall.
Like, think of a banquet hall, not like a hallway.
Yeah, no, I got it now.
Okay.
Like, I was thinking haul this away.
Oh.
Yeah.
That would be a verb, not a noun.
Right, but some people say, I gotta go grab my haul. You know, like, it's a thing people say.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, like, you know.
I'm not from Ohio.
Right, yeah. I just wanted to clarify, that's all. A hall, a banquet hall, basically.
Yes, a banquet hall kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, for the sacrificial feast. So worship often included making sacrifices, burning incense, and holding feasts or festivals. So a lot of this isn't new.
Right.
Just interesting.
I mean, it's kind of the same stuff they do in Christianity, just, you know, a different God.
Particularly,
and different rules.
Particularly Catholicism.
Catholicism?
That's what I said.
Catholicism?
Yeah, Catholicism. Do you ever, like, sometimes, like, say something and it should be a word, but then it isn't, but then there already is a word?
Right.
Like, we had somebody staying with us for a while that always said the word legitly.
Yes.
And I'm like, no, that word already exists and it's legitimately.
Right.
You can cut it short to legit, but you can't add an ly to a nickname word.
But
like,
is legit
dumb.
actually a word? Legit's not actually a word,
No, legit is short for legitimately.
Right, but is it actually a word? Of
course it's not.
So it's only you're basing your usage of words on MC Hammer then?
No! Oh my god! I'm saying you can shorten a word, that's fine. But you can't then take the shortened version and try to make it conglomerate with a longer version of the original word.
Okay.
That's dumb.
Sure. Whatever. I'll, you know, you yeah.
What?
I bow to your superiority in this arena, I guess.
Okay. Well, this took a strange turn. Anyway, so there were some examples that they gave that I thought was interesting because remember how Solomon had like 1,000 wives?
Yes, I do.
And so he would appease his various wives, probably mostly of political persuasion, by worshiping at their various altars, right?
Yeah.
So here's, for example, one that he would have done.
Okay.
Ashtaroth was the Canaanite goddess of sensual love and fertility. Worshippers at her altar would have had sexual relations out in the open with temple prostitutes. So he probably did that too.
Right.
Because that's what it would have called for.
So on top of his 1,000 wives, he also had sex with temple prostitutes.
Probably hundreds and thousands of them.
I see.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. So Milcom, the god of the Ammonites, was worshipped through child sacrifice, and they would throw children onto a fire. So he probably threw one of his kids onto a fire to appease them.
I mean, he probably had plenty to spare.
I mean, yeah, right? Like, I'm not arguing that he didn't have probably like thousands and thousands of kids.
I think I'd be hard pressed to remember all their names at that point. You know?
Yeah, you can't even remember all your cousins sometimes.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Thousands of kids. Can you imagine? I can't even imagine.
No, that's ridiculous. Okay, so high places were also set up in a spot that had been artificially elevated. So sometimes it was just like a hill or a mountain, like think Mount Sinai.
Sure.
That's a high place.
Right.
But a lot of times they would create this artificially just to make it high.
Got it.
And the Israelites at various points practiced Molech worship and built high places for Baal. So, I mean, the Israelites were no stranger to this.
Right.
You know?
Obviously. I mean, they talk about it a lot in the Bible, how they worship other gods. And specifically Baal is in there quite a bit. Right. Like as one of those gods that they're like, I'm going to go worship him now.
But let's not forget that Baal was like a mixture of various Baals. Kind of like, you know, lowercase g God versus capital G God.
Sure. No, I get it. But I mean, he's definitely prominent in the Bible at some level. So.
Yes. So, just to reiterate, not all high places were dedicated to idol worship. So, when you say destroying high places, you got to be really careful because there's several examples that are listed here where it was not for idol worship.
Okay.
Like in Genesis chapter 12, Abram built altars to the Lord at Shechem and Hebron.
Right.
And in Genesis chapter 22, Abraham built an altar in the region of Moriah and was willing to sacrifice his son there. And this site is traditionally believed to be the same high place where the Temple of Jerusalem was eventually built.
Now, to me, what this sounds like is that the high places were things that happened, I feel like they progressed to a different type of worship with Yahweh. Mm-hmm. And it used to be more pagan than it was, by the time it got to the king section. Mm-hmm. So, like, Abraham and Moses were probably much more pagan in their worship than it was by the time we got to...
Particularly given that he's about to sacrifice his kid here.
Right.
On an altar.
Right.
That he built.
Yeah.
Right. So, then again in Genesis chapter 28, Jacob set up a stone pillar to the Lord at Bethel. Then in Exodus chapter 19, Moses met God, as I said earlier, on Mount Sinai.
Right.
That's a very high place.
Yep.
In Joshua chapter 4, Joshua set up stone pillars after crossing the Jordan.
Right.
I mean, those were created as a high place.
Right.
In 1 Samuel chapter 7, the high places were visited regularly by the prophet Samuel. And high places as sites of Canaanite idol worship from Judges chapter 3 extended into the period of Elijah in 1 Kings. And God named only one high place where sacrifice was authorized, the temple in Jerusalem in 2 Chronicles chapter 3.
Oh, so the temple in Jerusalem is on a high place.
Mm-hmm. It not only it is a high place. Yeah.
But they want it to be the high place.
Mm-hmm.
Like
the highest of highs. The holiest of holies.
Right.
Yeah. God commanded that all other high places be destroyed.
Got it.
So
this was like a transitioning of high places, essentially. Mm-hmm. Like, no other high places shall exist. Mm-hmm. Only the one in Jerusalem is the only legitimate one. And we're going to legitly,
Oh, my God. Stop. Stop you.
Yeah.
So, it just goes to show that religion was once again influenced by what was happening in the time and place around them. As those things changed, so too did the religion and practices itself.
Sure. Yeah. It makes sense.
Yeah. So that was high places.
Yeah.
And I feel better having looked those up. I mean, we kind of knew, but now we have a better understanding.
Right. Yeah.
So now let's talk about Sennacherib.
Okay.
And to talk about him, we have to start with his father, Sargon II.
Sargon II.
Okay. Are you familiar with the name Sargon?
No.
He's a big deal in the prehistoric world.
Okay.
He's a big name.
All right.
Okay. He was king of the Neo-Assyrian Empire from 772 BC to his death in battle in 705.
Wow, he lived quite a long time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, he was a very cool guy. I'm like very enthralled with him.
Got it. Yeah.
Sargon aspired to conquer the known world, initiate a golden age and a new world order, and be remembered and revered by future generations. And he did that because, he did that by basing his faith and ideas off of the story of Gilgamesh and previous Sargons who wanted to conquer the world.
Got it.
Okay. So he's like got all these old stories and he wants to bring this new glorious time period.
Didn't we talk about some tie-in with Gilgamesh in the Bible or something?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. This is further.
Right. Yeah, no, I was just trying to remember. I thought we had talked about that at some point.
We did. The Genesis story.
Right.
In particular.
Yeah.
Over the course of his 17-year reign, Sargon substantially expanded Assyrian territory and enacted important political and military reforms.
Okay.
He was an accomplished warrior king and military strategist, and he personally led his troops into battle.
Got it.
By the end of his reign, all of his major enemies and rivals had been either defeated or pacified. So, I mean, this guy was pretty good, right?
Yeah.
He considered himself to have been divinely mandated to maintain and ensure justice.
Okay.
Which I love that sentence, because it's like, why does somebody else who's divinely mandated, why does their mandate somehow outshine or become more legitimate than somebody else's?
Bigger armies.
Right, exactly. Exactly. But it's just, his son is viewed as, the bad guy who took down Hezekiah, I think, was the one that he was at war with.
Okay.
And he wasn't just the bad guy because the Bible said so.
Right.
He was actually his own person over there with his own country, doing his own things and his own religious mandates.
I mean, we're reading this. The Bible is one perspective of pseudo history.
No, definitely.
And it does overlap with some actual history, but like,
it's just good to point out. Like, it's good to remember every once in a while. Just because the Bible said somebody was a bad guy doesn't mean they were a bad guy.
Right. No, this is this one side telling the story. So,
And here's an example of that.
Right.
So, Sargon worked to assimilate and integrate conquered foreign peoples into the empire and extended the same rights and obligations to them as to native Assyrians. So,
I mean, that's kind of cool.
That was very forward.
Yeah.
He's pretty progressive.
For the time, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
He forgave defeated enemies on several occasions and maintained good relations with foreign kings and with the ruling class of the lands he conquered. He also increased the influence and status of both women and scribes at the royal court.
Wow.
Yeah, he was super progressive for his times.
Yeah.
I mean, and it just shows he actually was a good guy.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
He was killed in battle in 705 BCE, and the Assyrian army was unable to retrieve his body, thereby preventing a traditional burial. Okay. According to ancient Mesopotamian religion, he was cursed to remain a restless ghost for eternity.
Oh.
Yeah.
So there's still a ghost of this dude somewhere, probably.
Probably wandering the earth because he wasn't allowed to be buried where he's supposed to be buried.
Yeah.
His fate was a major psychological blow for the Assyrians and damaged his legacy. Because, he'd done all these great things and then suddenly...
But he didn't have a proper burial.
Yeah.
And he got defeated first and then also was not able to have a proper burial.
Right. So, yeah, those two things together really hit the people hard.
Right.
And Sargon's son, Sennacherib, was deeply disturbed by his father's death and believed that he must have committed some grave sin. So as a result, Sennacherib distanced himself from Sargon.
Okay.
And it wasn't until this century that we're in, like the 1900s, or I guess that's not this century because we're in the 2000s. Sorry, in my mind, it was 1980 for a minute.
You should have seen me look at wife. I was like,
what? He's like, what the fuck are you talking about? So, okay, it wasn't until recent times, like within the last 100 years, that it was discovered that he existed and all of his glory had been like lost to history.
Okay.
And archaeologists have uncovered all of these documents and all kinds of stuff that just show how awesome he is.
Right.
And, he existed and he did these great things.
Right.
So due to his conquests and reforms, Sargon is today considered one of the most important Assyrian kings.
Huh.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
So, so now that's Sargon. He died, whatever.
Right.
Okay?
Yep.
His son Sennacherib decided to keep his birth name instead of taking on a regnal name. Like his father took on the name Sargon, likely from previous Sargons, right?
Yeah.
But Sennacherib, he was very confident, so he kept his own name when he became king. Okay?
Yep.
He assumed several new epithets that were never used by Assyrian kings before, such as guardian of the right and lover of justice. And that kind of, it does two separate things. One is he's still his father's son.
Right.
But also it suggests a desire to leave a personal mark on a new era beginning with his reign. So he still has some of his father's ideas of doing good, but
he wants to set himself apart.
Yeah. He did not portray himself as a conqueror or express much desire to conquer the world, unlike his father.
Okay.
So instead, his inscriptions are often portrayed the most important parts of his reign, which were large-scale building projects. So most of his campaigns were not aimed at conquest, like I said, but at suppressing revolts against his rule, restoring lost territories, and securing treasure to refinance his building projects.
Okay.
Because shortly after he inherited the throne in 705, Babylon was retaken, and all of these different places outside were like, oh, Sargon II is dead. Let's go in here and take this back.
Right.
And they thought the land would be weak. So that's
So
why
he had to reestablish his dominance, basically.
Yes, exactly. He inherited peace, and the fact that there was instant war after his father's death was not his fault.
Right.
And though Sennacherib reclaimed the south in 700 BC, the one guy from Babylon continued to trouble him. So that's part of why he attacked the Israelites in the story that we're familiar with from the Bible.
Okay.
Because he was like trying to get away from this guy.
Got it.
Okay, so this guy was like so bad, and I can't say his name. It's Marduk something blah blah blah. So I'm just gonna call him Marduk, okay?
Okay.
So Marduk captured and executed Sennacherib's oldest son, whom he had proclaimed as his new vassal king in Babylon.
Got it.
So his oldest son, he conquered Babylon and was going to put his son there. And then Marduk, one of the outside guys that was like, I'm going to get you now that your daddy's dead.
Yeah.
He killed Sennacherib's prince son.
Okay.
So though the Bible narrative holds that divine intervention by an angel ended Sennacherib's attack on Jerusalem by destroying the Assyrian army, an outright Assyrian defeat is very unlikely, as Hezekiah submitted to Sennacherib at the end of the campaign.
Right.
And contemporary records, even those written by Assyria's enemies, do not mention the Assyrians being defeated at Jerusalem.
Interesting.
Right? Like,
so
go
they
figure.
just made up like a huge win. They're like, we need a win, so let's just put one there.
The chronicler, to be specific.
Right.
Yes, the chronicler, again,
I
a liar.
think that same win was in Kings too. So I mean, I remember the bit where they did that. Oh,
that's true.
So it was in both books.
That's true.
But he may have been researching in the Kings book. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then embellished on his own.
Yeah.
So, boo.
And it was such a ridiculous claim.
Yeah.
Like God just killed them all.
Yeah, out of the blue.
Okay.
No, that didn't happen, you guys.
Right.
So after the death of his oldest son, Sennacherib originally designated his second oldest son, I'm just going to call him Mousy because I can't say his name. So Artamousy as his heir. But he later replaced him with a younger son, Esarhaddon, in 684 BC for unknown reasons.
Apparently his other son that he was going to put in was just not cutting it.
Well, yeah, listen to this. It goes on.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if you recall, but the story that we were fed from the Bible is that what's his name? Sennacherib. Sorry, I forgot his name. Sennacherib was defeated, right? And then he ran home and his sons killed him. The end. Right. So, but then here's what really happened to him. Okay.
All right.
So, his oldest son was killed by Babylon, that guy. And then his next oldest son, he was like, I'm going to not make you my heir after all. Okay. And Sennacherib ignored Artamousy's repeated appeals to be reinstated. He's like, but dad.
Right.
And Sennacherib's like, nah, something ain't right with you.
Right.
So in 681 BC, Artamousy and his other brother Nabu murdered Sennacherib.
Wow.
Hoping to seize power for themselves. Obviously.
Right.
They want to be king real bad, right? Yeah. Babylonia and that whole area welcomed Sennacherib's death as divine punishment, while the Assyrian heartland probably reacted with resentment and horror.
Gotcha.
Because, here's the the beloved son of our beloved Sargon.
Right.
You know,
right.
This is bullshit.
Yeah.
Is what the people were thinking, like, oh God, we're fucked.
So they liked him.
Mm-hmm.
Probably.
Yeah.
At least for legacy reasons, if nothing else.
Yeah. I mean, Sargon II was a really good leader and believed in justice.
Right.
And then his son, Sennacherib, his own epithet was justice and right.
Right.
So, yes, these were guys who were for the people, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And so when he was killed, as Babylon is getting on him, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the people would have been very scared, very upset, very angry, very afraid.
Right.
So, because the people were in an uproar, the murderer's son, Artamausi, his coronation was postponed, and then the youngest one, Esarhaddon, the one who was originally, supposed to be the heir,
right?
He raised an army and seized Nineveh and installed himself as intended by Sennacherib.
Oh wow!
Sennacherib.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
So he put himself. So I mean, there's a whole story there. And it's like, I'm sorry, you guys said that he just went home and was killed by his sons, the end.
Right.
Like, none of you, all throughout fucking Kings 1 and 2, did the same goddamn thing.
Well, they don't care about the Assyrian kings. They don't care, I mean.
No, I know.
They are important in a historical context, but it's not important as far as the Bible stories are concerned.
I know, it just makes me mad that they presented this story as like, can you even believe? And he got punished for that. Ugh.
Well, you got to figure, like, there's going to be, like, the stories are going to be much more detailed in Assyria than they would be in Israel, right? Israel is just hearing the version of the story that they want to hear and nothing else. So, I mean, they're just going to hear the best version for Israel.
And that's what gets recorded, of course.
Right, right.
It's just annoying. I just hate it.
Yeah, definitely.
So, that is our Q&A for today on High Places and Sennacherib.
Awesome. And I think we're going to be coming back tomorrow with a Patreon episode, correct?
We are.
And then I'll be getting the weekly replay together. Mm-hmm. And then we'll be back on Monday with...
2 Chronicles chapter...
35.
35!
Yes. Next week's going to be a little weird because we're doing 35 and 36... I think that's it, right? Mm-hmm. 36 is the last one.
35 and 36.
And then we'll be doing a few, like,
bonusy
episodes next week and stuff. So bear with us, and we'll get through next week and finish this book out. And then we'll be on into a new book, which is going to be... Do you know which one it is?
Give me a second.
Okay, I'm giving you a second. I'll just fill space here and talk about nothing for just a few seconds while you look it up so that people can enjoy my voice while you're doing Google searches.
It's Ezra.
Ezra, there it is.
Yeah.
We'll be reading Ezra next after we get done with this next week here and the bonus episodes that we're going to be doing.
I forgot it was Ezra.
I thought that was some really great filling space there.
That was really great filling space.
I was pretty happy with myself.
You should be.
At that moment.
You're the best filler I ever had.
All right, guys. I think that's all we got for today. And we will see you, if you're a patron, we'll see you tomorrow. Or if you're a weekly episode listener, we'll see you tomorrow. Otherwise, we'll see you on Monday.
Yep.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Welcome to Sacrilegious Discourse.
I'm husband.
And I'm wife.
Together, we're reading the Bible for the very first time.
We grew up without religion and wanted to know what all the fuss was about.
Well, what have we learned so far?
That God is a dick, and apparently some people believe in talking donkeys.
We're not trying to pass ourselves off as experts.
Nope, we're just reading the Bible for the first time and giving our first take reaction.
If you'd like to join us in this venture, you might consider starting at episode 1.
Otherwise, jump in wherever you like.
All right, let's go read the Bible.
Yeah, let's get to it. Husband!
Wife!
What are we doing today?
We're doing a Patreon episode.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
We're actually doing it.
We're sticking to our schedule.
Yeah.
That's an odd thing for us sometimes.
It's not odd. It's exciting and like we're doing it. We're doing the thing.
Like we have no problem doing a daily podcast. We're like, yeah, let's do our daily. I mean, occasionally we do, but like not very often.
Right.
Like, normally we're right on it.
Yeah.
Like, we can do daily all day, but then we're like, Patreon. What are we doing for Patreon?
Yeah.
And we never have it scheduled, so, like, then we always fell behind on it, and now we're like, no, every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks, period.
Which, on the one hand, yay, because we're finally doing it on a regular schedule, but
Right.
on the other hand, it means consistently coming up with new topics.
Yeah.
Because doing the daily Bible reading, like, we don't have to pick that topic. The
Right.
topic is the next chapter. That is literally the purpose of this podcast.
Right.
So the Patreon episodes are always a little bit exciting and also nerve-wracking.
Right, because we have to talk about something else.
Which is my way of saying, hey, if y'all have ideas, feel free to
Yeah,
pitch
if
them.
we've talked about something that you're, like, interested in, we'd love to hear about it. By all means, reach out to us and let us know.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Or, I mean, even a rabbit hole digging into the Bible some or something.
Sure.
Like something that we forgot.
Anything.
We want to know what it is.
And it can be Bible or news or personal life or, I mean...
Comic books.
Advice.
Whatever.
Sci-fi.
Yeah.
Like, whatever you want.
Sure.
Ask us anything.
Right.
And, you know, we'll add it to our list.
Right.
I can't guarantee how high up the list it is.
but we'll definitely take it under consideration.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that being said, what are we covering today?
Today, we are going to discuss how to get involved in local politics.
Oh, and maybe why, sort of a little bit too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So as many of our regular listeners know, we are very liberal.
Very progressive liberal.
And there are things that we feel guilty about. And I think that's kind of where we're heading with this and things that we want to improve. Like, we're just done with a new year. This is something that we want to improve as to how we handle our involvement with things. Yeah,
that's kind of why I made this list. It was as much something to talk about with Patreon as something to actually discuss with you, my husband, of, hey, maybe can we do this one and this one in like the next week and the next month and, you know, hold ourselves accountable.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, guys, I don't know if you've ever gotten involved in local politics, but they're hard. Like, it's hard to stay interested, involved, and figure out what's going on because it's just hard. It's hard.
There's a lot, and it can be complicated, and it can be difficult finding out how to get involved and finding out what your interest is and what your abilities are and how those match up with what's going on around you.
Right.
So we're going to talk about that.
Yeah. All right, well, let's go ahead and hop on into this and do this. And if you are not a Patreon subscriber, you will heard this intro, but you will hear no more after this.
Sorry.
Other than sorry, you could subscribe. But you could subscribe.
You could subscribe,
You
guys.
could subscribe on patreon.com/sacrilegious discourse, and you can catch the rest of our discussion there, assuming I can talk. I mean, you know, that always helps. And you can get these special episodes for as little as $2 a month on Patreon. So
highly recommend.
I would love it if you'd join us. And that being said, we are going to go ahead and get on into this.
Alrighty. Oh no, husband, why did it stop?
Well, this was just a teaser introducing our special bonus episode just for our Patreon members and our Acast Plus subscribers.
But how can listeners hear the entire episode?
Visit us at patreon.com and become a member or subscribe on Acast Plus.
That's right. For as little as $2 a month on either platform, listeners can hear all our bonus material.
That sounds like a great deal. Links are in the show notes. Go sign up now. Hey, wife, I guess that's the end?
But husband, that's just sad.
It doesn't have to be. We are on lots of social media platforms like Twitter. Our handle there is sacrilegious_D.
For D's nuts.
Oh my God. Stop doing that. Anyway, we're also on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. There's a link to all of our social media sites at our website.
Ooh, we have a website?
Yeah, it's sacrilegiousdiscourse.com, where you can also find a link to our merch shop.
We have a merch shop?
Yep, we have podcast-themed clothing, mugs, notebooks, and more, as well as an atheist and science-themed products.
Wow, our fans should really go check that out right now.
Definitely. They can get in touch with us by sending an email to sacrilegiousdiscourse@gmail.com. But before they do that, we could really use some help.
Oh yeah? With what?
Well, it's not free running the podcast, and we need some financial support in order to get better equipment, which will free up time so we can concentrate on our podcast and our fans.
Okay, so what should they do?
Head over to patreon.com/sacrilegiousdiscourse and sign up as a contributor on our podcast. Supporters there receive additional bi-weekly episodes that we record just for our Patreon members for as little as $2 a month.
Also, we'd really appreciate it if you would like and subscribe on whatever platform you're using.
And Apple Podcast reviews help us out tremendously.
Like and subscribe, leave an Apple review, join us on Twitter, support us on Patreon. That's a lot of instructions. Don't forget to say thanks.
Thanks.
Okay, bye.